Welcome to the Postmodern Art Podcast, a podcast dedicated to giving artists who are wowing the world over the platform they deserve. I'm your host, Nathan Ragland, and for today's episode, hop on the drain train as we meet the incredible person voicing the interesting character, among others. Today's guest is Michael Zekas, a voice actor, entertainer, and VTuber with a wealth of incredible credits and a wonderful personality to boot. Michael is someone that I have gladly been able to know thanks to the wonderful charity streams that Trey Riom gets to do. And ever since I've gotten to know him, he's been a fun personality to be around, so I knew I just had to sit down with him and really talk about the incredible stuff he's been able to have a hand in. If you enjoyed the conversation today, please make sure you support Michael with the links in the description below, or Mihai if you're a VTuber fan. If you enjoy the podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. Leave 5 stars wherever you can. You know I see that stuff and you know it genuinely warms my heart. If you want to go a little further with that support, may I recommend checking out the merch shop on fourthwall.com with that link in the description below. And look, if all you want is a nice, cool, casual place to where you get to meet some incredible artists, including some former guests, and really get to show off what you're working on, may I recommend you check out our Discord server, the Artist Sanctuary. The crew we've been able to amass there has been an absolute blast to get to know and see the art that they're producing, and I think it would be a fantastic addition to that group today. But now, without further ado, please enjoy the Postmodern Art Podcast. Alright, Michael, before we really get... Mike, where... He was just... Where did he...
Boo.
Oh, Jesus! You gotta give me a heads up next time you're gonna materialize into an interview. Good lord.
Sorry, I was just jumping between a few nodes there and just, wanted to make an entrance. Wink.
I mean, you've certainly made an entrance, but since you're one to really jump between nodes and jump between worlds, let me give you a fun little fantastic world to jump into, at least for this intro question, if I may. Let's say you get to go to a desert island on your own accords. It's just you, alone with your thoughts. You get to kick back, relax, breathe, get to really enjoy yourself for a little bit. With accommodations, you're not stranded. It's your only like personal B&B away from society. You have.
I was going to say this meditation can go one of two different ways depending on how this deserted island is set up.
It's not Castaway. It's more like your own personal White Lotus. Anyways,
nice.
But You like I said, you got your own personal amenities or whatnot. Make sure you don't go further insane on this island. You could bring one piece of media or one piece of art with you to help with whatever kind of headspace you want on this island. If given this opportunity, what would that one piece be?
Man, I gotta think about that for a sec.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say, for me, it's actually a wild card. It would be a Steam Deck with a copy of the Tetris Effect.
Okay.
So that I can play a game that will help me to truly zone in and meditate and focus.
You know what? That's a valid point.
Spark just visions of beauty with everything that I do. Now, don't know if it'll have the internet, but at least with it being offline, some games we can still play offline in this day and age. I mean,
right.
Kind of live within the wires as things are, but that, I think, would be the one that just, the entire time I'm there, get in my head, get out of my head, play.
I mean, if nothing else, like, especially the way Tetris is more or less set up with that kind of, like, organization, speed, like, technicality, like, strategy or whatnot, like, it's very easy to get lost with it and go really zen with it, so.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's the most important thing, especially being alone. Just really focus your mind to just then experience everything that you take in.
Well, there you go. But regardless, that Steam Deck with Tetris on it, that is your answer. You're locking that in.
Oh, yes, I am.
Then if that's the case, I cannot think of a better way to start the Postmodern Art Podcast. Welcome, everyone. I am your host, Nathan Ragland. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. You would look fantastic in the merch that we have on the merch shop, fourthwall.com. Link to that will be in the description below. And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok at PostmodArtPod for future updates and guest announcements, including today's guest. He is a voice actor, entertainer, and digital demon with a wealth of insane credits in properties like One Piece, My Hero Academia, Dragon Air, Double Dragon Guided, and Far-Fetched. Welcome to the podcast, Michael Zekas!
Hello, Nathan, and thank you so much for bringing me on. It is an absolute joy just to share some time with you and just have fun and talk and wherever this goes. And words. Now, many words.
Words are wonderful, as I like to say. And honestly, thank you once again for taking the time to really sit down and do this. I mean, we've had some interesting interactions before, thanks to being on some charity live streams with our good friend Trey Rayom. So I mean, I'm honored to finally get a chance to sit down and actually talk with you about these incredible opportunities and then some that you've either gotten or have made for yourself. But before we really divulge into that, I want to go back a little bit and learn more or less the origin story of Michael. What got you interested in art, animation, voice acting, all that stuff? What got you interested in the arts in the first place?
Oh, that's one to... So, my story with the arts pretty much goes back to young childhood and all the media I grew up with, whatever it might have been. When I got to play my first copy of Super Mario Brothers when I was 3 years old from a friend who had a Nintendo. And from just getting to take in everything. And originally, I used to like doing a lot of visual art. So I was in my sketchbooks all the time through all my classes, just drawing, come up with things, take in something that I had seen and, try to build upon it or, just draw fan art because that's what a kid likes to do. And originally I was on a much different path and I went through all kinds of directions through school where, was interested in visual art, then wanted to go towards science and then got interested in history and even politics. Don't ask. Oh, golly. There's some stories of days from... Anyway, so... bouncing around where it was into music, instrumental music, choir, and then got an opportunity to be on stage. Ooh. And now something I've realized, I was always a very bold kid. Always loved to just, make everything a show and take in everything I saw. And to me, what's beautiful is that there's a bit of magic that's bigger than reality. Mm-hmm. And that was something that on stage I could make happen. You play to the back row and got a chance to perform through spring musicals and really built up just a good friendship with the theater director and the friends that I performed with. And then, of course, came college, and I decided to go into international affairs and politics and all stuff like that instead because, you're supposed to get something that'll pay the bills and then... get to do your arts on the side. There's a voice actor who's since passed on, Jack Angel, worked his entire life, 60, 70-year career, who said, well, if you try to be two things at the same time, you'll be lousy at both of them. And that was the hard reality of going, I picked something that was so anathema to where I was as a person that it was very hard to find a way into that world and just, wrong place, wrong environment, mistakes made. Okay. But I found ways to act through college in, funny enough, cosplay. Okay. And conventions. And building up a really good circle of friends that were people that I valued my life and just, we got to have fun and play and escape into this world. And, did that through college. And I always like the acting part of it, that you get to have some fun, you clown around, and you entertain people who are there, because it really is something fun when they see a character literally brought to life that brought them some kind of joy. So I was goofing on a friend one day, and this was a long time ago, and she essentially looks at me and goes, "Hey, asshole, you're following me," grabs me by the arm, yanks me down the hallway, drags me up to a room, and puts a script in my hand that turns out to be an open audition for a game that was being cast at that anime convention and goes, "Okay, read."
Wow. Okay.
And I all of a sudden I do it. And while ultimately the game didn't come to be, it all of a sudden was in my mind that, oh, this is what brings joy. And I then went back to school to do audio engineering. I started taking classes in New York for near where I was living at the time, and just trying to develop realizing that what really left an impact was just all those performances just in video games, in animation, and in film, that there really is something magical when you hear a character brought to life.
Oh, yeah.
And to then be able to do that and learn, how can I create? Because at this point, nothing's paying the bills otherwise, so let's go for it.
Yeah.
And my parents, patient to the end, were like, so honey, when are you gonna make money?
I have a plan, Mom. I just need $30 trillion from the taxpayers' government.
Oh, God. Not in this yet. Yeah. I just need the Declaration of Independence. Let me steal the Declaration of Independence.
I mean, regardless, like, it's really cool to hear the kind of, like, I feel like I've said this with other guys before, but more or less like the rise and the fall and like the roller coaster of emotions that was like your creativity at the end of the day. Like having that kind of love for the arts, like kind of early on, and then get to a point where like you're questioning it, but also like questioning what exactly you want to do. Having that like love, like again, the peaks and valleys, the highs and lows. Like I love, like, I know it's rough for an artist to go through, but I love when an artist has that kind of story, because like at the end of the day, like seeing where you are right now with the opportunities you have been able to get, like it's good to know that it, like, I've always questioned, like, do you think that like you would have that same love and appreciation if you had just stuck with the arts beforehand, or do you think like being away from it, doing the stuff like in college, like the international affairs and such, like did that have a hand in more less you being like, this isn't what I really like, I like more or less really grow that love for the arts and such?
You know, I'm of two minds with that, because I think about the experiences I had to get to that point. And one of the hardest things as I was trying to find my way was, as you said, trying to understand what I appreciated of it. And one of the hard things as a lesson was just knowing that I often learned worlds that I did not fit in. Okay. And it was a struggle to go, how do you find a place in something that, you know, is sustainable, brings joy? And I'm not gonna lie, it still took many years after that first audition.
Oh yeah, of course.
And man, I feel like there would be, it certainly would have felt easier, because I would have looked at a more traditional path for getting an acting focused education and getting something that had provided a wide array of disciplines. Because one of the interesting things about being a voice actor is that a voice actor, there is almost no conventional path to becoming one. Right. And if you ask, especially character actors, commercial actors, audiobook actors, people who are from the generation of radio, every path is completely different. And some things would have been easier, certainly would have gotten a lot more improv and, you know, Stanislavski and Meisner techniques and traditional acting education earlier on. So I feel like that would have helped to probably find a place more easily. In retrospect, I do wish I could have made some changes, because just getting that chance to really start things a bit sooner, but you also don't know what would have been the direction then. Right. So there's so many ways, and it's just infinite pathways. And I feel like I'm getting into a philosophical thing of, do we experience freedom in our lives, or are we controlled by fate? Do our choices matter? Would those paths have existed in other contexts? So this is where everyone looks at me and just goes, no!
I'm sure anyone could look back at their situation and think that if they could have done it differently, they would. But also, like, that's the thing about life and just time itself or whatnot. You can't go back and make those choices. You have your choices. You just gotta deal with what you got at the moment and really make them work. And I've got to say, you've made it work quite well since you really gone headfirst to this path. I mean,
Thank you.
It's also really cool to hear that, like, part of the reason why you're able to really go more headforth into this is when you were able to funnel that creativity you still had into cosplay and such, which is something I didn't even know about until you brought it up earlier today. So I'm genuinely curious, like, what was it about the appeal of cosplay that made you want to delve headfirst into that? Was it kind of the fact that you could basically immerse yourself in that role, like both physically and mentally, just looking like the character?
So there's so many things that went into that. And I'll be straightforward. One of the hard things was trying to find my own identity. And how do I want to express myself? What do I see about myself? Finding what characters it was that really called out to me that I said, I'd like to take something from this because it's something interesting and is a reflection of something I either see or would like to embody in myself. And so it's also a challenge because, you know, there are points in your career where you, especially anime, where you either show how much you're a fan or you need to put the business side forward. And as Crispin Freeman once said, you don't want to show up to your audition in a t-shirt of your favorite anime that happens to be the one you're auditioning for. But also, Matthew Mercer.
Yep.
So, of Critical Role and great voice actor, extremely skilled, complete professional, started out as Lord Masamune, a cosplayer. And then went on to become a prolific voice actor and entertainer. And now cosplays his own characters.
Yep.
So it's like, what is the right answer for, you know, professional face showing that you're an actor first? A David Tennant, he was a Doctor Who weeb and became such a great actor that he became the 10th Doctor. So with cosplay, a lot of it was, you know, trying on some different faces, some different personas. Part of it, you know, also a good place to really find a crowd that you enjoyed being with, because shared interest. I grew up in a small town in South Jersey, so there was,
I get that vibe.
yeah, not a lot of exposure to things and people that I was around. I spent my life really growing up on the internet, that I have some friends that I've known for over 20 years from forums. And with cosplay, I feel like I've gotten myself in a knot with this question, but a lot of it just, you know, trying to find those interesting traits. And for a cosplay with me, it really had to resonate that I know some people, it'll bring them joy to work on the costuming. And there were times where that was the case. Working on the makeup, working on wigs, and just nailing that act.
Yep.
And it was a good way to practice. How can you break down a character without even realizing that's what I was doing? Is what makes them tick. Do they have a laugh? Do they have mannerisms? Are there ways that they stand? Things that even for voiceover, where you're not doing something visual, you're still in the booth where your body language will inform your acting choices.
Exactly.
And your placement, your pitch, what's your energy, your reaction to things playing off of it. It's a great improv training if you enjoy cosplay like that, where you're with friends and can goof back and forth and even be a little bit serious in your performative nature for whatever you're doing. And even an old friend of mine, funny enough, from a forum, and both of us ended up becoming voice actors on different paths through the path of cosplay.
Well, there you go. I mean, hey, it really shows that kind of like the resonance that you're talking about really bleeds into other creative paths and such. I'm curious, like the way you were talking about like the different aspects of it. It makes me curious. What cosplay of your own resonated with you the most? Which one did you enjoy really immersing yourself in?
So I'll say one of the ones that was probably the biggest one of mine was at the time Shominami Moto from The World Ends With You.
Okay.
And so for anyone who's not familiar, Shominami Moto is a Reaper from this game and runs what's called the Reaper game for a particular week where everyone has to survive all of these tasks that are given to them. He is a loud, very showy math weeb where all of these crazy expressions and all of these eccentricities, but bro has confidence and just, I was trying not to be too crass, but I mean, he's got some cojones for how flashy he is. And it was something that going through college, trying to find what I enjoyed, even dealing with ups and downs of stresses and emotions and mental health.
Right.
It was a thing to really pull things up and just get out there and to find something that people would not forget. He was someone that I really loved to get in the persona of because it helped to build confidence and take little bits that I could then keep after the performance. And it was a way to get out of my shell to then make some more lifelong friends. And so he was the one that resonated the most and just could delve in with the most hyper focus on what he was trying to do, which, I mean, I can get lost doing something for hours. If anyone knows my Steam history, you can see I've played Tetris Effect for about 350 hours, and that's just that version of the game.
Right.
Or pick your other game of choice. Mario Kart is another big one. I think that would be my second choice. So really doing that, but also then just, hey, y'all will not miss me. You will see me from the back row. And with megaphone in hand, you also have fun, just teasing people. Just a little bit, just a teeny bit. And it was also a great way, especially, imagine when you can slam the brakes on an incoming glomp. Running tackle hug for any of those of y'all who might, that's a little bit of older personal space culture.
Yep.
When you can slam the brakes on someone when they're about to tackle you, by having them do a math problem on the spot.
Oh, okay.
And giving them an endearing, so Zeta slow. But, now you've also kind of helped to set some boundaries. Now you can enjoy a moment and, y'all can laugh about it. And, it was, man, I'm so excited my face got stuck.
I could tell.
Hang on a second. Oh, golly,
Please pardon the technical interruptions.
Technical interruptions. It's like everything I try to do, every now and then, you try to put on a good show, but some things can go wrong. We're doing it live.
Fuck it, we're doing it live.
So that's kind of the long and short of just where a lot of my stuff was.
Right.
And he's the one that really it just resonated with me. And even that, my streaming persona, little secret, Mihai Zeta.
Yep.
Inspired by his phrase.
I was going to say, yeah.
Let's see. Oh, what's going on? Give me 1 second. I am not animated.
You were good. I was going to say, yeah, you're bouncing. There's that.
I'm bouncing. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
So I know while I get that fixed up, yeah, did that cover what the question is? I'm like winding answer.
I think that covered that and then some. I was gonna say at the very least, it was really, I could tell the more you talked about it, how much that character more or less resonated with you on multiple different aspects, multiple different fronts. Just kind of especially with how much the character seemingly meant to you more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's I can only imagine so hearing you talk more about this character, especially about the game itself, it makes me curious, what sort of media or, whether video games, anime,
mm-hmm.
whatever it is, what kind of media that really resonated with you and really something that you took, personally, especially the more you went on this, media path, entertainment path.
Video games, hands down.
Video games, okay.
And it's, video games and anime, I mean, they're so intrinsically linked, and other forms of animation.
Right.
And at different points, they had their impact, and even theater as well. Beyond all, video games were the running theme, though, especially growing up through the maturation of the media. So I would see where you'd see people that could create emotional moments in 16-bit sprite days, where you have the opera of Maria and Draco in Final Fantasy VI, and all of this is being done with just sound chips. And then to hear early voiceover in the PlayStation days, and then hear it being refined, and the way that it as a storytelling medium, but also one that you were part of, that called out to me. And I have genuinely loved that about the medium. It's the dearest form to my heart above all.
So I can imagine it was more or less surreal whenever you actually finally got a chance to really delve headfirst into voice acting and such. Especially after that first audition kind of gave you that little bit of the voice acting bug, be like, I want to do more of this. It must have been surreal for you to get these opportunities to work on some incredible video games as well.
Yes. And my first role was Techno Babylon with Wad Jedi Games, David Gilbert's studio that he's produced award-winning point and clicks, and things that, that was media I grew up with. And so to now be a part of this, and the most comically cartoony character, Martin Niester, who was this Polish chemist who in a dystopian future liked to experiment on himself with altering substances. And in this game, I give myself this crazy aphasia where I am talking in nonsense until I'm prodded to straighten me out to progress the plot. And I just go, this is perfect. You could not have looked at this and said, all right, I know exactly who as a IRL cartoony individual to bring in for this larger than life role.
I mean, that's a good step in the right direction more than anything else, really finding that role right off the bat that you instantly connected with and immerse yourself with. I can only imagine what it's like for you to find certain roles like that, or just any roles that you're kind of more or less given, the process it must be for you. How is that process to really immerse yourself in a voice acting role of any kind, whether it be game, animation, likewise and such?
I'm trying to make sure I follow that one, because I think I know what you're asking. Just want to make sure I'm on the right wavelength.
Right.
If you excuse me, would you mind rephrasing that 1 second? I'm
No.
all of a sudden throwing an error in my mind.
No, you're go. I was mainly asking what is more or less your process for you to really embrace a role that you were given and really go forth and portray it the best that you can. How do you go from description that the clientele or whatnot is giving you to really building up a character and persona based on what they're looking for?
Mm-hmm. So it so much goes into fleshing out a character. And now what I really love in particular is when I get to work with a director or someone else who's handling something creatively, so that we can almost bounce ideas. One character that it really enjoyed was something that I was very good friends with the game developer, and it was almost a character who organically grew as we talked more, that originally started as just a caricature for what was a rhythmic fighting game where you would fight with smack talk. And over conversations, she got ideas to go, okay, actually, I have an idea to bring in a little more of this, a little more of this. So, and this is an unusual thing. With most voiceover projects, you add your own spin to the character, but it is not common that you get to really almost develop the character unless it is something long term. Mm-hmm. And I've had a rare privilege that a lot of my stuff is atypical voiceover, where it is either, working creatively with a dev on a game like that, or I also a part of the cast for the aphmau channel with their daily content, and so there are many things that will happen in a performance that then informs how are they going to start kind of moving things as personalities might change over time from what the original artistic intention was. So I love that, and it's not something you get to do often, but otherwise you have some aspects like, okay, how does the character laugh? Again, what's their body language? A lot of the stuff from cosplay where you might be able to get some of the personality from some art that you see of them, or you might be able to get something from a delivery. Do they scoff? A director might all of a sudden be able to give you a little insight into their backstory and how that might inform your decision. Are they a time traveler? Do they have a loving family? Do they have crippling depression and insecurity that they are constantly masking? It's so hard to break down into a simple thing because it's like each one gets its own individual bit of attention. And some things, you have to come at from almost a more formulaic perspective. Like you mentioned Double Dragon Gaiden and getting to perform as, oh my God, Duke. Yep. I was trying to remember name of character I'd portrayed as Duke, who has all of his mannerisms to work with to inform how he acts. And then also being the announcer of the video game where there's more a formulaic approach to what does a beat 'em up announcer sound like. That's been calcified over 25 years. So those are the kind of things that have gone into trying to create these characters. And man, it's just like trying to find the simple answer, and it's just going, all right, grab your coffee, we're in for a ride.
I mean, to be fair, I didn't expect it to be an easy answer whenever I asked it. I mean, it's not like it's not like warehouse work or anything like that where there's a simple cutaway to where it needs to be done like this, that. Like every single experience is absolutely unique. Every single character is unique in their own way. Yeah, there might be tropes, but there's still like little details, little intricacies that makes every role a little different to where you would perform that differently. You're not gonna get the same performance from Batman that you're gonna get from Joker. Like they're two very different stereotypes and archetypes to where they need to be performed in different ways to where you can obviously tell a difference between the two.
Yep, and it's even just having performed some similar archetypes across like anime and video games, and there is such a different portrayal in many cases between them. Or for something like a MOBA game where it's focused on more showy, cartoony sort of flair. It's all dependent on the medium and what the overall artistic intention is. So many colors that you can apply to that performance. And just when it all comes together and just the collaborative creative process, I've had a luxury that I've gotten to work with a lot of ensemble recordings, which are not common outside of in-person studio recordings, especially remote, very rare.
Right.
I love doing that. I love when, bouncing things back and forth with the director and they go, I got an idea. Let's even change this just a skosh.
See, I'm hearing all this stuff, and I'm certainly taking it in myself because I'm trying to get along the voice acting path myself a little bit more. Like, I've had some cool opportunities here and there to do little voice acting things and stuff like that. Like, a former guest I brought on the podcast, after the podcast, I talked to him like, hey, if you need any voice acting stuff like that, I'm available. I just want the opportunity. He's like, well, actually, I need someone to do like the main voice for my game because the main guy I had dipped out. And I'm like, and this is coming from someone that hasn't had much, if not all, at the time voice acting work. I'm like, fuck it, we ball.
Indeed, that's a good mantra, which is just fuck it, we ball.
Exactly.
Clip that to get us demonetized.
Look, at this point, we're way past the first 30 seconds to a minute. At this point, if I get demonetized, I'll be amazed.
Yes.
As long as I'm not saying any of the more worse end curse words more than anything else, I think we're good.
Now for my George Carlin arc.
No.
Yep, you know it.
I know exactly what you're talking about. But regardless, it's always good to know, obviously whatever you're given, like it's gonna be a different experience no matter what. Despite having similar archetypes, I know one of the biggest archetypes you tend to have, or at least according to your Twitter bios, whatnot, is basically voicing all the mobile game vampire husbands or whatnot. Would you like to elaborate what you mean by that exactly?
So there's some things that just end up being running jokes, and now there's a game that I worked on a while back called Immortal Diaries, and had played, oh, let me think of his name for a second. I cannot remember it for the life of me. Why? I hate that all of a sudden. Something I worked on this for about a year and a half, 2 years, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And just all of a sudden, but I performed a character who was a bartender who happened to be half vampire, and this is essentially a dating mobile game. So
right.
You are the perfect dude to fall in love with. And it was something that really getting to delve into a lot of what players want to see in a romance and try to embody that to be that try to be that desirable, slightly dangerous maybe, because they'll hurt someone in case someone they someone they love gets hurt. And it ended up being a thing where all of a sudden I started getting other characters, like a lot of mobile games where suddenly they're all very calm, collected, welcoming, and intriguing.
I can hear the female side of my audience fawning right now.
And then on the flip side, there was one game I worked on which it was a bara gacha game called Gai.
Okay.
And on the flip side of it, where suddenly I'm getting these very high energy, muscular dudes, and just you go, equal opportunity. Everyone gets something in gaming.
Yeah, exactly. Equal opportunity for those in gaming.
For real, it's just everyone gets. Now I remember his name, Marcus Salvador from Immortal Diaries.
Okay.
So he was a big one, and then of course there's a certain other vampire who y'all will get to meet. You won't care about the rest of the cast once he makes his debut on screen.
Yep. We'll certainly talk about.
Come back to my trail after the show.
We'll certainly talk about them in a moment. I'm curious, at least when it comes to like the video game aspect or whatnot. Like obviously, just bring out mentioning what you had mentioned or whatnot, playing these vampire husbands more or less, like having an opportunity like Double Dragon Gaiden and such. Is there a particular role or a particular game out of the ones that you've done that kind of like sticks with you, like just because you either love the performance you're able to give or you love the game that you just happen to have your voice in?
So I will actually, it is a different project. The project I'd say that was probably the most dear to my heart was actually something I had done that was an animated series for the aphmau channel called My Inner Demons.
Okay.
And so aphmau is based in Minecraft.
Right.
But the stories are all inspired by performances from anime, in some cases telenovelas, and it is a form of entertainment using a different medium. And the series I worked on, My Inner Demons, playing a young Deimos, or essentially a demon boy known as Noi, part of this crew of the four soldiers under this prince of this world of Deimos, trying to search for a source of their magic. Human souls. They are out of souls in their world.
Okay.
And now need to find other places to find something, which brings them to Earth. And Noi in particular, someone who's stuck because was one of the characters where I could really embody a lot of emotional vulnerability. Noi is someone who, he's a gentle, loving soul and also seen as a weakling. we're going to use up your magic first to go through the portal. But guys, nope. And really just, okay, no, we don't care about you. Get out. Just go shoot.
Okay.
But someone who, with a lot of heart and vulnerability and genuine emotion, then starts finding love and the confidence to stand up for himself and showing the strength that doesn't come from being a brute force, and is someone that I got to experience a full range of emotions and character development, and has always been probably the most dear to my heart of the lot because of how he's the most fleshed out character. And there's been some others that have come very close. And in my studio, I have 3 posters of the 3 biggest projects in my career that they left such an impact. I go, these are memories I want to carry for the rest of my career.
Okay.
And right at the center is that one. And it's also seeing the impact that people identified with seeing someone who was gentle but could show passion. And it was really touching to see so many who loved him as a character and to get to perform that and really put every emotion into a character. And vulnerability, times where could heartfelt just scream in absolute fury, just wanting to be strong, wanting to be seen, wanting to not be forgettable.
I mean, honestly, like it. I'll be honest. Like hearing you talk about this, it makes me want to go seek this out myself and actually watch it myself. Like it's not that I haven't heard of aphmau and the stuff that they produce, but like hearing the impact that you've more or less that role alone seemed to like personally have on you. I mean, I'm from the way you talk about it, especially knowing some of the stuff that we talked about beforehand. I can only imagine how much of that story, that performance was a personal one for you. Like just being able to express that and put that into a role like you never had before.
It was definitely the one I got to put the most into creating this. And even the one that I would say was the next most impactful was a character from a game called Slam Fighter 2, and then actually used in an in-production game right now called Red Star Azimuth.
Okay.
It was when you really get to delve into the depth of a character and the vulnerability, but also someone who finds strength. And confidence. It's a beautiful thing, especially, look, acting's not easy.
No, it's
Being a human being is not easy.
It
There
never
are
is.
so and the vulnerable, you have to be vulnerable as an actor. You can't just formulaically make a performance because people can suss out something that's fake.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be to the benefit. You get a character who's very showy. It's very authentic. Oh, I love you so much. Oh, you're the love of my life. I don't love anyone else. Hey, babe, come on over here. What's your name again? So I love the character where you really get to see that vulnerability and get to see them grow.
Right.
It's such a wonderful point to both see, be a part of, hope that someone else sees and is inspired by that. That's the magic of art.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with like I kind of illustrated earlier, some of these properties and some of these opportunities you've been able to get for yourself, like through here at the very least. Like I only talked about the games aspect so far, but I mean, even then, some of the animated projects, like the animes you've had a hand in. As I was going through your IDMB alone, I was amazed to hear that you've had opportunities. And like I said, One Piece, My Hero Academia, the time I got reincarnated as a slime, like all these like incredible animes that people could easily recognize. Even just providing like a simple voice and additional voice for any of these has to be surreal at the end of the day, like really getting to embrace a character like that and a property like those.
And it is amazing because, here's the funny thing about it is that for a lot of anime, especially with Funimation, I did not, or Crunchyroll as it is now, I did not know oftentimes what I was going in for.
Okay.
So when I started my career and was on the East Coast, I primarily worked with Media Blasters, and now at least because of the smallness of their production by comparison, you knew because there was one, maybe two anime they're working on, or also their Kiddie Media division, which I didn't work with, which I think is one of the last dubbers of hentai in the U.S. But with Funimation, I would go in for something and all of a sudden go, okay, I'm booked for an hour. Oh, this is My Hero Academia. What? And all of a sudden just go, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Because, and you don't want to be, here's kind of where that fan versus professional comes into play. There's actually a lot of anime that I've not seen.
Right.
Don't tell the audience, because there's a lot you can watch. And especially with what I grew up with is a lot of stuff that, predates me. So, and trying to keep up with series where it's just release after release after release, week, so much to take in. So a lot of times I would get the enjoyment of being in it after... let me not use that phrase. Rephrase that. Getting to enjoy the series after having worked on it to delve into, okay, how does this all fit together?
Yeah.
But so it was surreal. And the funny thing about Funimation in particular is that you'd be called in to do one thing, and then usually at the end of your session, it's like, hey, especially if you're done early, hey, let me ask the other directors, see if they need something. So you might just get passed around and suddenly all of a sudden you've worked on the quintessential quintuplets one day, and suddenly, oh yeah, we need something for Black Clover. Oh yeah, we also need something for Robihachi. Okay, we also need something for... pick your isekai of choice that's being produced. I lose track of the isekais, to be honest. No disrespect. I'm like, God, I can't keep track of these.
No, that's valid. I was gonna say, like, a little secret for the audience as well. I don't watch that much anime either. Let's just in general. I really need to delve into looking a lot more. I know I'm a horrible host by not watching that much anime, but I'll say I do have some very good friends. Shout out to the anime egotists out there. They've reviewed like a lot of almost on a weekly, or at least like, very frequently they review like all sorts of different animes, or like do these like fun little scenarios and countdowns and stuff like that. And so like some of the stuff that I mentioned, some of the stuff that you mentioned, like Black Clover, immediately, like it's like I know they're gonna recognize it. I know they love that stuff. So to hear you get an opportunity to even delve in that world like I said, it has to be surreal at the end of the day.
It is, and especially so for how anime is done. It's already been animated. We're dubbing it in another language.
Yeah.
And realizing that this is going to be the final release. It is. I mean, it is unreal to see and know that. Yeah, I grew up. I grew up watching my share of anime, and how. I think that one, just knowing that, there's always dubs for anime have existed since Speed Racer and Astro Boy.
Yeah.
If not before, going back trying to remember it. So that's a bit more easy to see in the cultural zeitgeist. While video games, a lot of video games don't have voiceover.
Yeah.
And a lot of video games also, when they were kind of finding their way, they just kind of threw in voiceover, and it was just, okay, bring in Steve from the advertising team. Here, get in the booth and read these lines.
Yeah, let's read these lines.
Okay, Dr. Wywee.
I thought you were going to be a Jill sandwich.
Exactly. And you get some funny moments that, they're dear to my heart, because you get something like that. Then you'll get games like Metal Gear Solid, or my sleeper hit, Brave Fencer Musashi, which you look at as late 90s Steve Bloom, Mona Marshall, greats who I don't know who the I need to look back and see who the director is that had worked with them, but that this, for a smaller Squaresoft hack and slash, was excellent and had genuine, a little bit cartoony performances for some of the side characters.
Right.
But the cheese was still done it was done proudly. And it made a game that, especially in the 90s, it was iconic for me. And then going farther down the path to where, okay, everyone goes, oh, wow, people are playing video games for the story.
Yeah. Wow, shocker, surprise.
And then you get character development, and all of a sudden you go, okay, now Bowser is a complete 3D fleshed out character who's become more and more colorful since the first time they put him in an RPG and go, okay, he's not just capturing the princess anymore. What's the backstory of Big Bad?
It's like Bowser's this fleshed out 3D character. Samus has this interesting backstory of how she got to be in the Mexican and stuff like that. Sonic the Hedgehog. Do we need to delve into the Sonic universe alone?
Oh my god, we could spend hours just about Sonic,
right?
Oh my god, talk about a series that where do you even start? Sonic is a fascinating case of just. I don't even know where to start.
I mean, I think the best place to probably start would be like the adventure games, probably, because that's when they really went from silly characters and stuff like that to, oh god, there's a serious story. Why is the president involved? What's going on?
That's coming a long way from snooping as usual, I see. You metal morons!
It's a weird world how not only like video games and like properties like that have evolved, but also like the acting behind it has evolved, and like the performances that people just absolutely love and rave more than anything else. I mean, I'm sure you could attest this as someone that's in that industry and gets to play around in some of these worlds or whatnot. Like, it goes back to what I was kind of saying with the anime as well, but it has to be surreal being at this point in your career, like, getting a good bit of opportunities, but still having Lord knows how many opportunities to come.
Well, I try to look forward as optimistically as I can. And, I will say one of the best things to happen, to be real, was, when the quote unquote Fire Nation attacked in 2020.
Yep.
It blasted the doors open on everything. Wherever you are, every opportunity is right there. And now, when I started my career, I lived in a small town in South Jersey. So there, I could go to New York. It was also almost $50 every trip to go to New York.
Yep.
So it was something that, okay, you can do this. How much are you putting into it? As I'm also working night shift in a survival job, and trying to figure out how to pay for classes, how to do this, how to do that, get my own equipment. I at first started out recording from my car, and when 2020 happened, I, by that point, had conditioned myself so much to go, I will always have a home studio. And really, character voiceover is an anomaly where most of it, with the exception of a few years, has been in studio.
Right.
And I will say it's a little unfortunate that, it's also going back to that. So, LA, Dallas, it is what it is. But the opportunities that are there, and, it opens up a whole world of talent, and even chances I've had to direct people in games.
Oh, wow.
Was something it's still, how having access to it and trying to find new opportunities, and, there are some limitations. Like I don't live in a major market anymore. I went where I wanted to be, and I'm able to live with the work that I do have, and still try to look forward, hoping that, the technology's been there for a decade, if not longer. So it's very easy to bring in remote talent. Far-fetched. Everyone recorded remote.
Right.
and major projects beyond that recorded remote. And so, looking forward, especially with, how we have the burgeoning indie scene that is not about to get Zaslabbed along the way, and try to bring some more, there we go. I just jammed up my face again from getting too excited. Golly.
Why is it when you get excited you become a ventriloquist?
Oh my God. Oh dear. Sorry, buffering, emotionally buffering. So
emotionally, mentally, physically, all sorts of aspects buffering.
The life of an actor.
The life of an entertainer. Let's be honest with ourselves here.
Entertainer, yas. So I know as I reboot my face, it is it's something that I hope to be able to continue working on things because, there are so many projects that just haven't been produced yet.
Right.
And it's coming. The opportunity to work on something else because there's always something else.
Absolutely.
And I hope that there's still always an opportunity to be able to just be a part of something.
I mean, I know one of the bigger ones that you had mentioned that is coming soon or whatnot that you're getting to be a part of is to be a part of this incredible indie animated series that we've more or less teased about at this point, but let's just go all into it right now. Far-Fetched, providing the voice of a very particular character on the side more than anything else. Would you like to illustrate to the people who I might be teasing at?
Oh, well, what is there to be said about the man, the myth, the legend, the EDM artist who'll get you dancing on the floor and will bleed you dry before the night's over? The one, the only, the sesamoid hater. Haters gonna hate Drain. I'll be signing autographs. My trailer's at back. See you after the show.
It's not a trailer. It's like just a rusty pickup truck or something like that. Anyway, no.
Don't do the whiz. I have a legitimate trailer that my dad bought for me.
Fair enough. Sorry for assuming. My bad.
How rude.
No, okay. I'm curious. How did this role even come to you in the first, or how did you first discover the role of Drain in the first place? Because just looking right off the bat, it just looks like a fun character to be.
So Drain was an open audition. As Ashley and Dave, they put out casting calls for their cast, and now I think some of the characters they already knew who they had in mind, like Jacob Takanashi.
Yep.
A lot of his flair went into Griff. J. Michael Tatum, perfect Quinn, who was an open audition, but Ashley already knew in mind she really wanted J. Michael Tatum, and all of a sudden, holy crap, J. Michael Tatum just auditioned.
Well, there you go.
Drain. So I saw his sides. I looked at it, and it was not too long before Christmas. Just went, this looks like fun. And not gonna lie, sometimes one of the bad habits of an actor is you audition at the absolute last minute because, that's the motivating factor that gets your butt in gear. So I was literally the last audition, and fair warning for you voice actors, don't submit late. People don't like when you submit late. Even some might be cool with 1 minute, but you generally not a practice you want to get into. Audition arrives. Ashley and Dave listen and goes, God damn it, he's perfect. Son of a bitch submits at the last minute. Well, you're hired. Don't do it again.
I mean, if we're gonna be honest for a second here, I mean, I feel like auditioning at the very last minute would seem like a Drain thing to do more than anything else. Just kind of like, look, I know I'm the one you're looking for. Well, not half-ass it. I'll show you what I got. You can go ahead and hire me.
Which, of course, is not the attitude you want to have in the voiceover space. But, we have our jokes as we do.
Yeah.
So it was an open audition, and then got to meet the team. And I mean, I will respectfully simp over Dave and Ashley till Kingdom Come, because they are genuine. They are creative. They are fun. Jacob and the music that he and his crew do. Oh, it just, everything with the people who put the love into Farfetch'd, you go, this is art. Absolutely. And getting to know them better. And, there was one year that they ended up going to Houston to show off in production sample of the show. And just wonderful people, and the people you hope to meet and will appreciate creating together.
Absolutely. Sorry, you go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry as I've reveled. Yeah, it was a wonderful opportunity. It's been a project that, to watch, especially indie animation, is a whole unique thing, because the funding mechanisms are not the same as video games typically, and especially not as animation or anime. So knowing that this is okay, everyone is putting something in to make this thing happen. Mm-hmm. And I just, everything that they release, whether it's a teaser, whether it's knowing a little bit of the behind the scenes stuff on the progress of the pilot, I love seeing it all. And getting to see everyone who, a series that even in concepts has brought so much joy to people, that cosplays and fan characters and just so much other media that goes into it. You go, and of course, shipping wars, because why not?
Absolutely. I mean, I was gonna say, for several different points with what you said. One, I've met Dave several times, and I've had both him and Ashley on the podcast. Dave, again, multiple occasions. Ashley with Dave to talk about Farfetch'd. Absolutely fantastic people, and I would absolutely have them on again in a heartbeat.
Yes.
I think you and I could both agree, just seeing how wild the fan base has really grown with just the concept more than anything else. I mean, I've brought on people that I had a guest not too long ago, Bones Graveyard, that was talking about their OC that they have for the universe and their love for it. Tipsy J Hearts, the fantastic person that helps me run this show, was showcasing a video of her at a con not too long ago, dressed up as Rue, with some of the other people that cosplay as well. It was.
Isn't that right, Rue?
Isn't that right, Rue? It's just so fantastic to see how much this fandom's really grown, and especially I imagine for you really being in the trenches, helping bring this stuff to life, bringing this character to life, seeing how fun and how chaotic, in a nice way, obviously, how chaotic it can be. It must be a little overwhelming at times.
One of the biggest things is trying to take it all in. And I think the biggest thing is always trying to stay humble and grateful.
Of course.
Because it is exciting to work on things like this, and always make sure to not have an attitude of, excuse me, don't talk to me, main characters only. Shoo.
I mean, to be fair, that would be very fitting with the Drain character, though. Just if you would
You might have seen the old comic where, of course, Griff gets an autograph from Drain and it just says, fuck you.
Yeah, basically.
That's not my name. So I love it. And even getting to meet, when I get to do conventions and get to meet creators in the fan base. And the thing I love the most, and seeing this with different projects, especially Farfetch'd, especially My Inner Demons, is seeing artists and other creators where they start with fan work, and it is awesome to see, and appreciating that they're enjoying something, they're being inspired by something, and then they create their own thing.
Yes,
and you get
absolutely.
to watch, and it might start as a fan character that they then kind of pull off in their own thing, and that's the greatest thing, because it's something else that someone has made, someone who's found joy to make something new. That's what's great to me about seeing it all. And even if they grow up from a particular fandom, I understand. That's, hopefully it's left a place in your heart you will always come back to. But to see just it grow, that's life is hard.
I mean, yeah. I was gonna say, like, obviously, I'm sure. I mean, heck, like the way you're talking about that with other people, like with their love and appreciation for this series. I mean, that's how Ashley developed the series herself, with some of the different fan characters and certain loves that she have to eventually mold it into Farfetch. And like, I've talked to a bunch of creators on this podcast where that is exactly the case. Is one of those, like, their love and appreciation for a certain property or a certain character and their development, and they take and they mold it to something that's absolutely creative and creates a wonderful story for the people out there. And like, for you to see that in real time with all these things that you've worked on, like, I can tell you right now from the way you're talking about it, it must be a blessing more than anything else to see creativity continue to flow.
It's the greatest thing of doing this work. And a community where there's the shared love of creation. And that was one of the hardest things growing up, is what is your purpose? What is your calling? What do you want to leave as your impact? And to be around that energy it's so great, because at that point there's a shared love and passion for something that you're making, something that didn't exist yesterday. And in the end, we're all nerds. We all enjoy it together. And, whether it's coming up with memes and shit posts of a fun thing, or getting into the nitty gritty where, you look at the breakdown of a particular thing and go, okay, seeing the adjustments of a frame made, or getting into audio weaving as I could for a million hours of, ooh, yes, let me tell you about audio interfaces and, punch and roll and things and pick your audio, whatever of choice. It's just so wonderful. And it really builds a sense of community. And a generally positive community.
Yep, generally positive community. Which is odd, considering, again, the character that you are portraying in this community, who, at the end of the day, let's just be honest, is a bitch. Oh, no. No.
Well, no, excuse me, I'm the bitch.
Okay.
Thank you.
My apologies.
Not this Quinn mofo over here. Not Sesamoid as a whole. You can get dunked on, losers. It's all about me. I'm the bitch. I'm not the fart. I am the shit.
Someone please clip that, animate it, do what you want with it. That is yours for the taking, okay? Have fun with it.
Get in so much trouble with Ashley and Dave just going, we have certain manners to keep to with our characters right now.
This is Drain we're talking about here. Let's
let the shitpost breathe.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Now, I was gonna say, like, considering like some of the other opportunities that you've told me, especially some of the characters you've got to embody, like this one has to be a weird one for you to embody, because it like, at the end of the day, it just seems like an asshole. But I mean, I imagine like it must be fun, at least in this case, to kind of like, I guess, escape your own reality for a second and just have fun with this for a little bit, because especially compared to some of the other roles you've had.
Yeah, and of course, there's always many facets of a character.
That is true.
It is very fun to do that, where you can be a performative asshole like that. It's cathartic. And that's one of the fun things, is that you get to do things that, you should not do in real life. And with the kind of character dynamics that exist in a fantasy world like that, where it's fun to create someone you love to hate.
Yeah.
And you have laughs about it, and just the shared humor of, okay, how awful something is. Go for it. So that's what's fun about Drain. In a funny way. There are some things about his personality that there's some parallels with what Show Me Namimoto was.
Okay.
And the showiness of a lot of his performative nature is something that you go, get up, this is fun. Now, of course, some of the darker aspects, you go, what? You know, character, separate.
Yep. Of course.
And even enjoy, you know, there are things that it's the challenge of when a project is done and you can look over a script and really get in the full character development of how you're taking something. And also to know there are things about Drain that either Ashley and Dave have worked on and not disclosed. So this will be a very organic development as the series goes on, or that just can't be shared yet to go, there's fun growing this. And we'll see. I look forward to sharing more of the Bratty Batty.
Bratty Batty. I imagine that I was gonna ask what to expect, but I think that little tease alone is more or less like what people should expect. Like there's a lot still cooking, but it's gonna be fun, and obviously you're along for the ride for that fun more than anything else.
Oh yeah, that's something I also love about Farfetched is that you have seeing everyone gravitate in their own direction where you go. You have a cast of personalities that all fits together very well, and you get fun with all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just wait till the show starts.
But while we're waiting for that show to start, at the very least, you know, going back to kind of seeing how Drain is such an entertainer themselves or whatnot, you know, I imagine another way you like to entertain.
In fact, a superstar, if you will.
A superstar, if you will. My apologies. I am sorry for not giving the proper label where it need be. But I imagine that showmanship is part of the, you know, the showiness of roles like that and just voice acting and even the cosplaying itself. I imagine those are different, all aspects that kind of lead into this other little venture that you've gotten yourself into. I mean, this entire time I have been talking to a digital demon, you know. So I'm curious, how did you discover the world of VTubing, and how did you eventually develop this character that, you know, you're embracing right now, Mihai Zeta? Please tell me I'm pronouncing that right. Okay, Mihai Zeta.
So, you know, VTubing and streaming is a fun medium. So, you know, a little bit of the curtains opening for y'all who might happen to be watching. You know, anything we're talking about, it's not canon. Wink.
Wink, nudge, haha, cough, cough.
So a few years ago, I had just gotten the itch that I wanted to start getting into streaming, and, you know, as another performing element. And now, Michael speaking here, it was something that I did also to get more comfortable with being, funny enough, on camera.
Okay.
So I started streaming, and, you know, was also a thing to do when, you know, the Fire Nation attacked and the world had, in many cases, stopped.
I'll say we all had our ways of doing that, aka there's a reason why this podcast is here.
Yep. Oh, really?
Yep. September 2020 is when I started this podcast.
Okay. I think it was, I want to say April is when I started, right when the brakes were slammed on the world.
Right.
As I thought about doing it, you know, kind of sat on my hands for a little bit, and then finally just, all right, let's go for it. And something else to entertain for anyone who was looking for something. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, just started entertaining, streaming video games, getting reactions, you know, being my own version of, hello everybody, my name is Markiplier, and you're watching Five Nights at Freddy's. Watch me get the poop scared out of me right now. Good thing I wore brown pants today.
I'm sorry, time out. That's a very good Markiplier impression. I'm just going to say that right now.
The joke's on you. You don't know who you've been interviewing this whole time.
Oh.
You're really well for mustache. Boo. 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 Boo.
Okay.
So, as that all started to play out, as time went on, started then getting the ideas for, when I drew, I had characters of my own that I came up with, and loving to create scenarios and individuals where they come from. And now all of a sudden the idea hit one night of a new persona, a bit of rogue code going across the internet from computer to computer. Just, showing up, you just downloaded I Write Sins Not Tragedies.mp3.exe. And, hey, why don't I put on a show for you while I'm here? Like some formats might do. Virus, if you will. But anyway, I am Michael Zekas, your digital daemon, entertainer across the web, bringing to your little corner just a bit of fun. Come on, just tune in for a little bit. From here to the other side of the 7 seas of the Pirate Bay, let's make it a show, superstars.
So basically, you're a more stylish version of the glitch virus from Scooby-Doo in the Cyber Chase.
Are you calling me a spindly Johnny? Very. Nonetheless, probably a potentially fair comparison.
At least I said more stylish.
So, yeah, as and style cues came together as they do, because, who doesn't want to be a rock star?
Right.
And just put forth energy. And one thing is, of course, when you're a bit of rogue code, maybe a little bit unstable, when all of a sudden you might just transform and kind of, maybe a little bit of an unstable form. Oh. But, keep everything. My form did not manifest there, alas. But
the internet is safe for now.
Oh no! But of course, body pillows of that are available at my website on store. The Zeta Shop. Anyway, enough of that shameless thing. So that's part of the fun of, a performer who kind of can change depending on the mood and circumstance and take different forms. So I've been transformed into a Goomba. I've been transformed into a 3D model. I've been, as of yesterday, super crowned.
Oh.
I have become Bowsetta.
Oh, you lucky bastard.
Yeah, I'm just glad that the dress held together, because, man, I look at this and go, oh, this looks like, it's a little turned around some features. Oh, heck, I didn't realize I was this old by. So, yeah, I'm just glad I didn't have a wardrobe malfunction and get demonetized for that show.
Valid, fair, valid.
I mean, of course, there's a little bit of bawdiness that comes with the VTubers. It's almost like a digital version of burlesque in some cases.
Yes.
Where, you have programs that are deliberately named quite cheekily for, and I know many of my 3D friends have a lot of jiggle physics.
Yes. I am good friends with a lot of VTubers. I have interviewed a lot of VTubers on this podcast and such. I am fully aware of the jiggle physics. Wow.
Oh my! I was gonna say that's a whole other stream.
That's a whole different kind of stream. That's not Twitch. That's at least Kick.
Yep, you're fair, very fair.
But
I was gonna say, I think we're talking Picardo at that point.
But no, what I meant is I am aware of the jiggle physics that some of the models certainly bring upon themselves, for better or for worse.
Shake what your mama coder gave you.
Exactly. But
or what your mama rigger, I should say.
But regardless, like I imagine, like, especially since you've more or less embraced this VTuber persona, like, it's got to be both fun and freeing to really, like, have this, like, extra creative force to be able to express yourself.
And the fun thing, of course, a little bit of pulling back the curtain is the fun of it's another character to perform as.
Yeah.
It's, in this case, someone that is always mine. And so with every bit of entertainment that Mihai can bring, it's, a place to play around, a place to laugh, and in many funny ways, by putting on a mask, you can show you can show a true emotion.
Yeah. I mean, I think
I think it was Oscar Wilde who said, "Give a man a mask and he'll tell you the truth."
That is true. But I mean, it also kind of goes back to something you kind of said earlier I forget exactly when, but you said kind of with like either the cosplaying or the voice acting stuff or whatnot. Like, people are going to realize like a true authentic self and they're cling on to that. Like, they'll recognize when a person is BSing or they're lying, and they'll call a person out on that stuff. So I imagine for you, like, even though you are wearing more or less an additional mask for yourself, it's not like that mask is changing your personality entirely. It's just letting you amplify the true you more than anything else,
and just being able to have fun with it.
Exactly.
And it's also nice when there's a few different technical things that you're managing, because if you're streaming, showing your actual self, you want there can be inhibitions about, say, looking good on camera or getting ready, or things that can get in the way of just performing.
Yeah.
And to have something that you go forth and go, all right, fuck it, we ball.
Fuck it, we ball.
As a wise philosopher once said. It's a wonderful thing, and even being able to tell a story beyond that, because every character has a story.
Yeah.
And there's many reasons why a rogue program jumping across from computer to computer on the internet just enjoys a chance to stop and perform. It's in some people's nature, that's, I don't know if I'll use the V word,
Yep.
who like to be destructive. Some, all you want to do is just sit a spell.
Yeah.
And just show the good nature in your code.
That is so beautifully worded. Seriously, that was good. That was heavy words. Good Lord. It's that philosophy showing back up again, isn't it?
Just discuss. Just slip in a little in there. Just the tip.
Okay.
Just the first slide.
Okay, now we're going to the Picardio.
I did just wait until my hot tub stream starts.
There we go. That's what we've been waiting for.
Oh my.
Hopefully you won't glitch out the instant you touch water. That's the only thing I'm concerned about.
Oh, it's all of a sudden I'm just imagining GLaDOS just what was it? Just going, oh yeah, this deadly neurotoxin. I could just bathe in this stuff. Because you're going to be dead in 5 minutes.
You know what? Fair enough. I mean, thinking obviously back to like with VTubing, even further with like all the voice acting stuff we've been talking about. Hell, thinking all the way back to whenever you were first interested in the arts in one way or another, and really getting your hands dirty with some of the physical stuff, or like really being an artist and an entertainer from the start. Seeing to where you are right now, like, are you more or less surprised with how far you've been able to come along as an artist? Is it more or less like a surreal thing to think about, that like throughout this entire journey you've gotten to this point and Lord knows where you have to go from here?
Well, I'll say trying to keep everything in perspective, because I know when I started my journey, I couldn't have predicted this, especially because a lot of how things have unfolded. I really didn't know where anything would be. When I originally started this, I imagined I'd probably actually spend most of my career in anime. And, for what the opportunities were, and even as projects, I thought I would be in New York. but a lot of what's been produced in New York has left.
Right.
Really, there's even media blasters and 4K media. They're about the last thing going on there. Most video games have moved on to other cities, and I couldn't have known where anything would have taken me. Even the one game that brought me a lifelong friendship and camaraderie with one of the best people in my life, that first brought me to move halfway across the country, leave my life behind. I didn't know until it happened what was going to happen.
Right.
So it's I really couldn't have predicted anything to this point. And at least trying to keep in perspective, because not gonna lie, it's not easy. And I
Right.
count my blessings that I experience what I do, that I don't need to work in a job that's, completely anathema to what I enjoy doing to make a buck.
Nods and forklift operator.
Yeah. And, there's, I did many things to try and get by for years, as building things and trying to keep schedule free and hoping that, the pathways I would not close off, because there were many times I had jobs. I spent many years having jobs, and I missed out on a major Nickelodeon audition because I said, I need to be at work for something in Philadelphia when there was something going on in New York. And by the time I cleared, I can go, it was too late.
Right.
And it is a very hard fight to not let an opportunity pass by. And my heart goes out to anyone if they feel that they struggle to get the strength to grab it, because it's hard. And believe me, an entertainer and actor career is hard. And I count my blessings. I'm in a very, very rare position where I have stability in entertainment. But to hope that someone can find their way, that they can be able to take those opportunities and never be kneecapped by just something that I had a job many years ago, and I wanted to request a certain schedule, which honestly, because it was a 24-hour business, said, hey, give me some time. Let me be able to help your night shifts so they're not the redheaded stepchildren,
Right.
and to give me some flexibility for my own career. And I get this guy, bald, stone-faced, miserable as they came. It was a business that was taken over in a hostile takeover, and I just...
Oh, goodness.
I was about to have an opportunity that I got and tried to earn. And he looks me dead in the face and says, how are you going to do two careers at the same time? Well, I already do. But he then canceled that opportunity. And I ended up with nothing, still on the night shift. And that opportunity they ended up never paying anyone for. And instead ended up using it as a bargaining chip for mothers coming back from maternity leave. You do this job instead if you want to be on the day shift, so you can be with your family. And hoping that people can escape situations like that where you can then get to what is your true passion. If your true passion is something that you need freedom and focus to grab.
Right.
So it's, yeah. I realize that's a bit of a sober note.
I mean, also regardless, like, I mean, it may be a sober note, but it's a real note, because I imagine there's a lot of artists that have a very similar story, or have had a very similar story, to where they've had that crossroad, and they've had that moment, that opportunity that kind of slips their grasp. But it also kind of goes back to something you kind of said earlier as well, that it's kind of harder for you to be, the master of two things. You can do two things, but probably not be good at both of them. So the fact that you realize after a certain point, it's like, it's not about just getting by, it's about being satisfied. And you got into this field, and I assume, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming you're happier than ever being where you are right now and doing this incredible stuff. I
enjoy everything I get to experience to perform. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There are still many hard days and times where I go, how can I get something even more than what I want? Because still at the core of at least what drives me is purpose to entertain and to see, as I mentioned before, an audience where they are inspired to create something themselves so that the cycle continues. And that's what's most important. So it's trying to enjoy the happiness that can come from it, and hopefully spread that happiness so it just, well, if you will, can go viral.
Exactly. There you go. Well, speaking of that happiness, how about we go at least a little bit above and beyond when it comes to the potential that could be there, and give you more or less, Michael.
Are we going to Disney World?
Close. We're going to the dream scenario. So maybe the dream scenario is in Disney World. You never know. Well, it depends, because let's say I am Big Shot Mr. Moneybags, like you see right here on my fancy little shirt. Again, fourthwall.com. Get that in the description below. I come to you like, look, Michael, we know you can do some absolutely incredible stuff on one form or another. We've seen the opportunities you've been able to take and really knock it out of the park every single chance you get. We think that you could go a little further. You just need a little extra platform, a little extra push just to get there. We have access to everyone and anyone in whatever industry possible, and more money than should be possible. We really should be compensating the animators. In fact, that strike's coming up really, really, really soon at this point. You know what? We'll focus on them later. Right now,
hint, wink, wink.
Hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, cough, cough, hacks out a lung. But
shoves it back in like it's a Looney Tunes cartoon that's not canceled by David Zaslav.
Yeah, release Coyote versus Acme. But we'll focus on them a little bit. Right now, we are focused on you and you alone.
As I just burned that bridge.
Exactly.
On the internet.
No one's going to watch it. No one up that high is probably going to watch this part. I'm joking. I know my audience, and my audience is not David Zalaz and anyone higher up in Warner Brothers.
That's good. You have a supportive, good audience.
Exactly.
Anyway, shade aside.
Regardless, if given this opportunity, what would be the dream Michael Zekas project?
Oh my. So the dream, it's such a hard question. And there was even a question on Twitter not too long ago where it was, okay, who would you be if there was a one dream character you could have? And, it's a challenge because in many cases, a role that might have inspired me has a performer who's still working. I mean, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that maybe someone like Charles Martinet steps down, and you get Kevin Afghani and some of the other performers who have now stepped in for his many roles in the Mario world. Kenny James is still performing as Big Bad Bowser. Yep. And in many cases, like an iconic role, it is very hard to say because those opportunities, I don't know what the dream would be, because also respecting the work that comes from the creators.
Of course.
When the opportunity comes, it comes. I think the answer that is most genuine is to be able to be a working actor my entire life, to go the lengths of Mel Blanc and June Foray and some who have worked their entire lives to still be entertainers, to grow with the mediums and just to get to create. Indulgently, that's it. Where would I go? I will say to perform in a. There are hopes to work on a Square Enix game one day.
There you go.
So where would I even? Something like that. It's a hard question because even there's so many things that I don't know.
I mean, you said Square Enix, and like the first thing that came to mind is like, obviously like the fact that they're doing the remakes of the Final Fantasy VII, like the different parts of it or whatnot, to a point to where like an actor like Brock Baker can be like an NPC in that game.
Yeah, the casts are massive.
Oh, yeah.
And I know the dearest games to my heart for that Final Fantasies 7, 8, 10, Brave Fencer Musashi, and The World Ends With You. Those and Super Mario RPG. Not voiced, but the creativity that came from those 6 games, I'd say are some of the most dear to my heart. I don't know if 8 or 10 are ever going to get that same treatment because 7 is such a cultural. It's hard to describe the cultural impact that 7 has still had to this day. That still goes.
I mean, it more like, I think the easiest thing to say is it more or less like revolutionized what you could do with an RPG, like compared to what was done beforehand.
Yeah. And it left such an impact that, the story is not done yet. Now, I know all the work for that's happening in California. Right. So you do get regional boundaries and hopefully, world where you can travel or, the power of the Source Connect to the internet. Call me.
There you go.
That's not how you get auditions, by the way, for all of you out there.
What? No.
9 times out of 10 when you're like, hey, Mr. Director, can I get a part in your show? Oh, you try hard. Go away.
That just reminded me, I went to a... This is horrible, and I apologize for doing this, but as long as I went to a YouTuber that I enjoyed, and I just bluntly asked, hey, how can I get in one of your videos? Thinking that like the bold upfront approach was going to be the way to do it. Instantly blocked me. I'm like, you know what? Fair, valid, understandable.
Yeah. And it's a hard thing of the direct path. Now, and the direct path is 9 times out of 10, show them what you can offer.
Yes.
And it's the more boring business side of voiceover, which is show them you can be a performer. You are the answer to their question, their problem. And you can step in and they have no other choice but to say, damn it, this son of a bitch is perfect. And also, oh goody, they're also not difficult to work with.
There you go.
Perfect. Those are the biggest things. And as you build up your repertoire and your contacts and seeing people who are genuine anyway, because then otherwise there's a point where there's a lot of transactional stuff that goes on in the industry, and you don't want to be one of the ones who all of a sudden they'll look at and go, okay, so we're meeting up because you want to ask me for something.
Right.
Don't do that.
No.
Please, I beg of you.
No. To be fair, I've had the same situation more or less flipped on me of people just asking me, hey, can I be on your podcast, without providing like next to nothing. I'm just like, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but no.
Show me something that I'd want to interview you for.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that's just, again, by genuine interaction or doing fun things like charities. For, as you mentioned, we've done a lot of charities for many good causes with a mutual friend of ours. And I go, this is a great thing to genuinely spread good.
Yes.
And also, come watch. We will absolutely ruin ourselves by being assholes cracking jokes for your entertainment for a good cause.
We'll be assholes cracking jokes and being the worst people possible in Job.
Oh my God. Job. Chop chop. Oh, chop chop, yes. I hope y'all will go check out some of the wonderful people we get to work with, who creators, fan creators, just all varieties, man. Just
Absolutely.
that's what you want to have. Yeah, I think my dream role was that, and I think there was one dream character, but unfortunately, I don't know if that game is ever going to get made, because it's a sequel where I went, okay, there's a perfect opening. The person who's performing is no longer of this world anymore. But that depends on whether the developer is going to make that game.
I mean, I did say this is the dream scenario. So in this dream reality, yes, we're going forth. We're making that game, and we need a new voice for that person. So who is that voice?
All right, the completely self-indulgent one, Teasel Bond from Mega Man Legends.
Okay.
Loud. How do I describe Teasel? Big, bold, and in charge. Tron, are we ready to go? Let's do this.
Got it.
One of those performances of that struck such a nerve, and you go, you just get to have fun, relish in what you do. The characters where you are so in love with every emotion, every bit of craziness, you're completely unhinged, and it's fun.
Yeah.
That's the thing, that kind of character. Just embrace over-the-top fun.
That's the kind of roles you gotta just love when they crop up in the industry more than anything else.
Oh yeah. I mean, Drain showed a little pale ankle of that one, so stay tuned for more.
Stay tuned for more. But sadly, we gotta get down from the dream scenario. We gotta get back to reality, and I'll ask the ever so generic question: where do you hope to see yourself in, say, 5 to 10 years from now?
Oh, that is simply to be a working actor.
Okay.
To continue to entertain, to continue to have, the projects I get to work on. I am a regular performer with the aphmau channel, and knowing that millions watch, and even with the transformation of media in many cases is now what kids are watching.
Yeah.
Instead of cable. So to do that, to still work on video games every now and then, here's where I'd hope where there's a second or third project that I've worked on that my mother or a friend of my parents is familiar with. When all of a sudden everyone goes, oh, so you do things that are really, yes, I promise you, I'm not just getting money that's just appearing out of thin air. There are things that can pay for being able to have rent and equipment and working internet. Yeah, generally.
Exactly. Generally.
So that's it, is to continue performing, and hopefully with areas, of course, to open things up, because what also matters is to enjoy where you are in the world, and being able to be comfortable so that whatever anxieties of life don't creep into acting. Because that is a hard thing, is when you have to be fully present as a character and make sure everything else, okay, you go in the closet. Anxiety, stress, bad vibes, unless I need to use it, you get in the closet. Shoot, hold there. Oh, crap. That's right. Booth is in the closet in this particular place in my life. Anyway, you go, why don't you go sit on the couch and just eat some cheesy poofs or something?
There you go. Just enjoy that little spot in the corner. I make sure to leave you a bowl of water. You'll be fine.
Yes, it's even filtered.
Oh, wow, we get fancy up in here, huh?
Got 0 water even.
Ooh.
I make sure we got the good stuff.
Oh, you're spoiling them.
You better have your pinkies up, because, of course, we still have etiquette in this household. Even if we're dropping all things to get us demonetized, you still gotta have pinkies up.
Ratchet. No.
Let me just let my ego flop onto the desk.
There you go. But regardless, that's a good thing to aspire for more than anything else. Just to continue, being a working actor, and have an opportunity to really continue doing the fun stuff you've been doing.
And I'll say, especially with projects close to my heart, and this is a genuine thing, is to see Far-Fetched.
Yes.
And who knows what will happen in 5-10 years time that will come out, because to see something and then all of a sudden it gets 1 view on YouTube, and well, now we're going to turn it into a fully animated series with all the shipping wars the fandom will have, which is something I canonically know nothing about, with apologies to Alex Rochon for the slight imitation.
That's a...
Their full disclosure, 9 times out of 10 impressions will not get you work.
Right.
But then then you look and go, okay, once again, the rules of voiceover are never consistent, where someone's spammed in performances ended up getting them a showstopper role.
Yep.
So the rules in voiceover, yes. What are the rules? Yes.
What should we do? Yes. What should we not do? Also yes.
Everyone you'll find is a fan of the work, but don't be too much of a fan, because otherwise you'll be seen as not quite professional. In which case, always be professional about everything, but have some fun with the work, because I of course want to have someone that they enjoy working with, and
be a fan.
Be
a fan, but don't be a fan.
Yeah. And for all the laughing about in the end, we all love what we work on. Anyone who does not actively enjoy working in a medium probably should not be working in that medium.
There you go. Yep. And I think that's just not just the industry that you're talking about, but any sort of workplace industry or whatnot. If you're not enjoying what you're working with or working on, probably look elsewhere.
Yeah, imagine a chemist who goes, "Oh, I don't really care about trying to cure cancer."
Yeah. As we start to, this is gonna be a weird transition from that to, as we start to wind down the interview. I just got one last question I want to ask you, Michael. Obviously, you're deeply entrenched in art at this point. Like, there's no taking you away from this field, no matter how hard we try. Not with every single appliance and tool at our disposal.
And believe me, over the last 2 hours, we've tried.
There you go. Trust me, all the ad blockers seem to be getting through those easily.
They're just like rice paper. Just punch a hole through them, load up some money, they crash on themselves. And joke's on you, I got access to your uBlock extension, and I've whitelisted myself to come through every node on your PC. Open port 42069 like Santa Claus is coming.
Need to tell my guys to take back the Trojan horse. I don't think it's going to work on this one. Anyway. But as we start to wind down the interview, I just have one last question I want to ask you. Obviously, like I said, you're deeply entrenched in art in one way or another. How important is art, not just for you, but for the world as a whole?
Oh, it is impossible to live without art. And I will say, even for someone who, I don't use this derisively, would be more conventionally minded in their life path, the entertainment, the inspiration, the creativity, so many things have come from art. Science inspired by science fiction. People who look to inspiration from characters to, funny enough, use lines in their political speeches. Mm-hmm. There was a U.S. president once who said, "Where we're going, we don't need roads."
Yep.
And without inspiration, there is only expiration. And what are we here to do in this life but to live?
That is wonderfully worded, if I do say so myself. Michael, that is all the questions I have for you. I've already showered you with a whole bunch of praise, but I'm going to shower you with a little bit more because it's my podcast. I do what I want.
Stop. You're too sweet to me, honey.
Regardless, Michael, whenever I first asked you to be on here, like I knew I was gonna have a good guest. Obviously, like we had mentioned at one point, like we've gotten to know each other fairly well because of the fun live streams that our good friend Trey Rayom has been able to host for us. And honestly, like you have been a wonderful presence in those live streams. I'm so thankful you take the time to do those. And obviously seeing like kind of the fun you seemingly have with Drain, like I knew you were a guest I needed to have on this podcast. Getting the chance to really sit down, really explore more about what you've been able to do, what you've been able to accomplish, like it is already like blown my mind to see some of these incredible opportunities you've been able to get. And then on top of that, to get a chance to sit down with you, hear your story, realize how personal and how passionate you are about this career and how much this whole entire thing really means to you. Like I've already loved what you've been able to put out there, but I now just truly cannot help but respect everything that you're doing, both before and what you're doing from here on out, because I know that everything that you're going to be doing at this point, I know it's going to be, you're going to put everything into it. You're going to put a lot of love and passion into just about every single role that you can. I know you're going to put a quality performance out there time and time again, no matter how big or how small the role is. Like I can tell that I can truly tell the true love and passion you have for this career, and it makes me excited to see the opportunities that true love and passion is going to take you, because I know it's going to take you far. Like we said before, people recognize when people are genuine. People can smell out bullshit, but they can also tell when people are genuine, and you are one of the most genuine people I've had a chance to talk to on this podcast. Long and the short of it, before I keep rambling on anymore, thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for putting yourself out there and really going full forth with this path, because you deserve to be here, and I cannot wait to see how much further you get to go because of that love and passion. Thank you for what you do.
And thank you so much, Nathan. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to create together, to get to have fun, and again, to share something that inspires someone else, that leaves an impact, and just something good in this world. God only knows, life is hard.
Yes.
And it's about just getting to do something that helps, that brings personal enjoyment, but shares enjoyment. Absolutely. And I just am grateful for this opportunity to get to know you, other good friends in my life, and just to create something magical. That's just magic.
Once again, wonderfully worded, if I do say so myself. I will say though, thank God I didn't mess it up, because I heard you say, life is already hard enough as it is. I was about to jump in with, when life gets hard, you gotta get harder. Wait, no, hold on.
I feel like all of a sudden I'm now thinking of the Chalk Eaters, like, when life gives you lemons, take them out the freezer. That's totally off rhythm, but
I got what you're getting at regardless. Now, if people want to see exactly why I'm gushing about, this whole entire performance entertainer, why I'm gushing about this entire time, go ahead and do the shameless plug. Plug yourself for the people at home.
For anyone who'd like to check out any of my work, I am on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, little place called YouTube, streaming on Twitch and YouTube, every now and then popping in on TikTok for however long that one's around. I am at Michael A. Zekas or at Mihai Zeta, depending on which persona you wish to see. All of my work is available at my website, mazva.net, that is mazva.net, or at mihaizeta.com for everything stream focused. And yeah, I'm here to entertain and just here to create something fun, and even Discord community where I have wonderful individuals sharing art and memes and puppy pictures and kitty pictures and bunny pictures and stuff like that, just all across the internet. All sorts of fun stuff.
And if you missed any links, I'll be sure to have them in the description below. I got you covered. Don't worry about that. If nothing else, I definitely gotta link them to the Zeta shop to make sure that they can see that body pillow you were teasing about earlier.
Yes, it did. You can have your own little Mihai to snuggle in your hand. Wink.
Hint, wink, nudge. Once again, lung coming out. Really should see a doctor about that. Do you have any
in this economy?
You know what? Valid point. Do you have any final words before we sign off?
Oh, just that again. It's been an awesome time spending some time just talking, having fun, and, get entertaining with you. And to everyone out there, as a very dear friend and I say, the whole world is a stage. So get out there and make it a show, superstars. Make some magic and go viral.
There you go. And with that, all I have left to say is for the people at home, pay your artists.
Yes. Yes. So let's just keep the creativity flowing.
Tell me what's wrong, tell me sparks in motion. Sing me a song, tell me your eyes can all open. Show me it all, pick me up in the car you drove when you used to call. Show me it all.
Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If this is your first time listening, I greatly do appreciate it. Like I said in the intro, Michael was an incredible person that I got to know, and it was even better to know him through this conversation. Michael, if you've gotten up to this point, sincerely, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to do this, and thank you for providing an amazing conversation. It was really cool to get to chat with you. And I know it won't be the last time we talk, but I cannot wait for that next conversation. It's always the people that I've gotten to know throughout this run of the podcast that always amazes me. At the time this episode releases, I'm literally about a day away from heading to Atlanta to enjoy a weekend at MomoCon. Which, by the way, if you're listening to this and you're at MomoCon, let me know. I definitely want to get a chance to see you guys, really get to celebrate the fun that we're going to have this weekend. But I'm about to share an Airbnb with a bunch of people that I've gotten to know through this podcast, and we're going to have a blast. We have so many ideas and silly things that we want to do. I wouldn't have been able to do something like this without the incredible people that I've gotten to know because of the podcast. For those out there that are listening, and you know who you are. Regardless, it's conversations like the ones that you listen to today, and it's the people that I've gotten to meet throughout this entire run of the podcast that makes me truly not take this thing for granted. I've gotten to know some incredible people that, I never would have thought I'd get an opportunity to talk to. I've gotten to make some really close friends with people that I may not have ever met otherwise. I've really developed an incredible group of people and some incredible acquaintances, friends, however you want to be addressed or whatnot. I consider myself lucky, especially with all the different fields, all the different communities, all the different aspects and fandoms and all this stuff. I am truly lucky to be in the position that I am, and I do not take it for granted one bit. And you guys that are listening to this as well, I do not take you guys for granted. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the love and support you've given to this podcast throughout the years and given to me throughout the years. It makes me always excited to see what's going to be happening next. And what's going to be happening next, whenever this episode drops, is, like I said before, MomoCon. Like I said, if you guys are going to be at MomoCon, please let me know. I want to see you guys there. I want to be able to have a fun time with you guys. I want to be able to create some incredible stuff. I'm bringing my camera, I'm bringing microphones, I'm bringing stuff. I'm going to make a little bit of content for you guys. It's going to be a fun weekend. but it's not about the content, I should say. More than anything else, I'm excited for just all the people that I'm going to be meeting. Whether it's people I've known before, but this is my first time meeting them in person, or the people that I've never had an opportunity to before now. It's going to be a fun weekend. I can already tell.